We're happy that you are joining us, and we look forward to showing you the highest quality artwork in the television market today. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Fine Art Auction. But first, the rules. All bidders must be registered, and if you're going to bid, make sure you know all the rules. First of all, there is a 10% buyer's premium added to each winning bid. Bidders will be responsible for shipping. All works are guaranteed to be as described, or you don't own it, and you may return it to us for a full and prompt refund. If for any other reason you decide to return your purchase, you may do so for up to 7 days after receipt. But in this case, the buyer's premium and shipping are non-refundable. It is mandatory that you obtain a RMA number for all returns. To obtain this number, simply call customer service during normal business hours. All artwork must be received back to us in exactly the same condition as when it was shipped. Please visit the shopabc.com website for a full list of terms and conditions that apply to all of our auctions. And now, from our studios in Atlanta, it's the Fine Art Auction. We've got works from the masters, the latest up-and-coming street art, and Richard's featured work. From Atlanta to Los Angeles to New York, it's the Fine Art Auction, live!
All right, what a very good morning, America, and welcome to the Fine Art Auction, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Leif Rydfors. I am your co-host this Saturday morning, together with my dear friend Lucy, who is joining us from London, England. Together, we will showcase some formidable artwork. We are both lovers of fine art. Ladies and gentlemen, our program has been running for almost 18 years right now. We are the longest running art auction program on the planet, and welcome to the Fine Art Auction, ladies and gentlemen. Just to give everybody a little bit of a highlight of some of the key works that we will be showcasing this morning, we are going to kick it off with Salvador Dali. Now, ladies and gentlemen, every single work of art you will see comes with a brand new frame. It will be shipped ready to hang on your wall and absolutely fully certified. Besides that, right next here to my side, we have an absolutely beautiful gem. This is by one of the fastest rising stars in the world of urban art. His name is Kef. He already has works of art in a permanent museum collection, ladies and gentlemen. He's been commissioned by pretty much the who's who, and his trajectory in the world of fine art is absolutely not only elevating very quickly, but he certainly is showcasing a talent and an innovation and indeed a style that we haven't seen before. So this is an artist you want to keep an eye on. We have some formidable works by Raphael. We have another very fast rising star called Striker. But before we begin, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you call in, get yourself registered, and get ready for the Fine Art Auction. But first, before we introduce my dear friend Lucy in London, take a look at Salvador Dali.
Salvador Dali is among the most versatile and prolific artists of the 20th century, and of course, the most famous surrealist. Though chiefly remembered for his painterly output over the course of his long career, he successfully turned to sculpture, printmaking, fashion, advertising, writing, and perhaps most famously, filmmaking.
If you go to the Dali Museum in Spain, you'll see a painting called Leda Atomica. There's no brushstrokes. It looks ethereal, doesn't even look real. He would paint with one eyelash, and he would build his own brushes.
Dali was renowned for his flamboyant personality and the role of a mysterious provocateur as much as he was for his undeniable technical virtuosity. In 1926, Dali took a life-changing trip to Paris. He visited Pablo Picasso in his studio and found great inspiration in what the Cubist was doing. He began studying the psychoanalytical concepts of Freud and consequently began using psychoanalytic methods of mining the subconscious to generate imagery. His first serious work of this style was Apparatus in Hand of 1927.
Dali was known for having an extraordinary ego. He truly believed he was destined to be the greatest artist who ever lived.
In 1929, Dali met the French Surrealist poet Paul Eluard and his wife Gala. Soon after this original meeting, Dali moved to Paris and was invited by André Breton to join the Surrealists for the next several years.
He also collapsed in this kind of sadness and melancholy of the other kind of modern school.
I see. So that really you feel that surrealism, having started when you were with it as very gay, has now sunk into melancholy and despair, and that you alone remain as a true representative of it.
Absolutely.
Good morning, everyone. And as Leif says, my name is Lucy, and it really is my pleasure to be here with you this morning. I've been in the art world now for over 20-something years, and I can't wait to share everything that I've learned about these works that we have for you this morning. So let's go straight to it. Let's talk about Salvador Dali, because we really do have some special pieces for you today. And this is from his most famous suite. It is the Biblia Sacra. And it's a remarkable story, everyone, and I'm going to obviously share that with you. Because this isn't, I think, the Dali of melting clocks. This isn't the playful or provocative Dali you might instantly picture. This is Dali at his most profound, his most reflective, and for many collectors, his most important. So if you are collecting works of significance, your ears really should be pricking up right now. This was commissioned in 1964 by the Catholic Church and by a really good friend of Salvador Dali, who was called Giuseppe Alboreto. They would holiday next door to each other. So every year, Salvador Dali would go back to where he was from, and he would stay there for a couple of months. And the next door neighbors were this family, and they were really worried because they knew that Salvador Dali was a self-confessed atheist, and they wanted to try and find out or find a way to get him closer to God. So they posed this commission. Initially he was a little bit worried, but he finally decided he was going to do it, because he went back to his wife, and she was very much the business brains in the relationship. And she said, why wouldn't you do it? You're the most famous artist there is, and the Bible is the most famous book, the publication there is. Let's do it. So they did. And this is the result. So it's really exciting to have these works, because it took him about 5 years to complete the originals. It took him another 2 years to complete what we're looking at now. And this is considered to be, by collectors, one of his most important suites for this reason, because this was not a project that he did because he wanted to gain something financial. He did it because he was very much in love with the idea, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. So for me, these are very important works, and for those people who collect Salvador Dali's, they all agree that these are significant pieces. These, I have to tell you, are lifetime works, so they were done in his lifetime. And I think that's also really important to understand. These are lifetime pieces. You've got that date right there in the stone. You've got the signature as well. And these are from the Biblia Sacra, one of his most famous and important suites. Let's go to my screen just for a moment before we go back to Leif and just give you some visuals. Here he is with the Alboreto family. And when he completed the works, he awarded one to them, of course. And this is him working on that lithographic stone. And lithography is a very involved process. He created his own way. In this particular instance, it was called bulletism, and he would fire a gun that was filled with paint at the actual canvas. And that's what would form the basis of the first work. These are all authenticated by the leading authority in the Salvador Dali world, Albert Field. So this piece has been authenticated by Albert Field. Really important when it comes to Salvador Dali, because there are many fraudulent works out there, because sadly towards the end of his life he signed some blank pieces of paper. So you have to have those works that have been authenticated by the Field Foundation, and this one has got that. So we will come back to price comparisons in just a moment, but let's go back to our work. And let's have a look at exactly what we are talking about here. I'm very excited to see that many of you are now getting on those phones, because this is important. And when we're talking about Salvador Dali, he is important. This is Salvador Dali interpreting the Bible at the height of his artistic power. And the result is simply breathtaking. And I think when we look at these works too, these are works that you can easily hang in your home and hang really proudly knowing it's a Salvador Dali. It's a lifetime Salvador Dali. Imagine owning a Dali that is not his playful surrealist mood, but it is his spiritually awakened mood. That is Dali at his most profound. Dali believed this would be his greatest artistic project of his lifetime. You got a chance to hang it on your wall. Let's go back to the auction because I can see things are hotting up. Over to you, Leif.
Thank you very much indeed, Lucy. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what you need to realize that we're looking at here, it is a work from Dali's legendary Biblia Sacra suite, like Lucy just mentioned. Now, what that means, ladies and gentlemen, you're acquiring one of the most historically important print cycles of his entire career. This is the series commissioned by the Pope's own publisher. Once again, the Pope's own publisher in Italy, known as Rizzoli, printed it in Milano in the early 60s. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm standing right next to the work of art so we get an idea of scale. This is an absolutely stunning Salvador Dali. Got a bid of 3 right now. Would have give 325 at 3 right now. Would have give 325. Bid upon 325 right now for the bid. Got 350. And ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at that certificate of authenticity. You will all receive, keep in mind, every single work of art comes with a certificate of authenticity, fully certified. Here we go. Salvador Dali, the title is Ertu pur Prophetia. It is in Latin from the suite Biblia Sacra. Now, it's very important to notice the next two things. Ladies and gentlemen, you will find that right here under the medium, above the medium where it has the title, you will see the reference, the catalog where it's referenced. It's in the Albert Field catalog and the ML catalog. This is of utmost importance, ladies and gentlemen. So this is a cataloged work. On top of that, we are dealing with a mixed media color lithograph with serography, varnish, and metallic pigments on handmade paper. Ladies and gentlemen, now it gets important. You are bidding on the first state. That's right. You're bidding on the first printing from 1964. That means this is a lifetime Dali. There are many Dalis that were published after he passed away. Dali passed away in 1989. But this was published during his lifetime, which makes it very, very important indeed. And ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind, since it is the first state, first printing, it means you're holding the earliest, most desirable form of the image. We're about to send it back right back to Lucy. Ladies and gentlemen, got a bid of 450 right now for the bid of 5. At 475 right now, would give 5, got a 5 right up, would give 5, got a 5 right up, would give 5 and a quarter. At 5 right now, would give 550, bid upon 550, would give 550 right now for the bid. At 5 right now, would give 550, got 550 right now, would give 550, look at 550 right now for the bid. Let's go ahead and bring it back to Lucy in London, England. Lucy, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm so excited for everyone because these are truly spectacular works by Salvador Dali. They are collector's works. And I think many of you are recognizing that now. And in fact, when the prints were first exhibited by Rizzoli alongside the original gouaches in New York, they were so close to the originals that it was very difficult. You could not tell the difference between the original and the actual print. That's how exquisitely these have been done. And remember, Salvador Dali was involved every step of the way when it came to these it came to these prints, obviously by Salvador Dali. And it was Albert Field who commented that the printed set was of such high quality that the only way to distinguish one from the other was you had to feel, the surface of the originals. So for me, this is a no-brainer. And if I take you over to my screen once more, let's just have a look at what his works sell for around the world. So we've got originals, we know those sell for millions. So unless you're in the market for an original, you've got millions to spend. This is the next best thing down from an original work, is going to be one of his critically acclaimed series, which is the Biblia Sacra. We've got results here at 36,000, 32,000. These are all prints. We've got one for sale at the moment at $8,000. You are at the moment at $650. So I don't know about you, but I would be getting on those phones right now. Let's come back to our piece. Let's talk a little bit more about what we're looking at. So the edition that we have this morning is the Rizzoli edition, printed in Italy with extraordinary care and craftsmanship. They were done in his lifetime. They've been authenticated by the Albert Field Foundation. They would meet every single year. So Field and Dali would meet in New York. I think they met at the Regis Hotel and they would discuss his work. So he is the leading authority. So it's really important to know you've got a referenced work. References are so significant within the world of art and collecting art, and that's exactly what you've got here. Now, when we're talking about the Biblia Sacra is, we know, one of his most extraordinary suites. It's one of his collectors, and this is really, for me, I think, the pinnacle for Salvador Dali, the Biblia Sacra. This is him at his finest. This is him really showing us his genius. He's interpreting the Bible at the height of his own artistic power. And this is Dali in dialogue, in effect, with God. This is Dali seeking meaning. These works are the spiritual heartbeat of Dali's entire career. And very few people realize how important the Biblia Sacra is until they see it. And you'll have this hanging in your home. Let's go over to Leif, because this one is really hotting up now. Over to you, Leif.
All right. Well, thank you so much indeed. That is my dear friend Lucy, our friend in London, England. I am in Atlanta, Georgia. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we say across the pond. But what I wanted to show you, folks, is this book. This is the Biblia Sacra, Dali and his Bible, which is featuring every single work of this very important suite. And by the way, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the most important suites of the entire 20th century that was dedicated to the Bible. If I open it up to the middle page, lo and behold, look what's there. There is your work that you're bidding on. We're about to sell this in 1 minute. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to drop the hammer here. Make sure you do place those bids. 1 minute remaining. Got a bid of $850 at 800 right now. Let it give 50. Bid upon 850 right now for the bid. And would give 8. And bid upon 8 right now. Would give right now. Bid upon 850. Look at 850 right now for the bid. Ladies and gentlemen, I see a lot of people calling in. Place your final bids right now. I'm about to drop the hammer. Keep in mind, every single work comes with a brand new frame. Every single work, ladies and gentlemen, uses a custom-made museum quality frame like this, and you have a little inner fillet in this case. Now, keep in mind, framing can be quite a pricier deal. If you're watching, you might know this already, where sometimes you will pay more for the frame than the actual work of art. But it's not going to happen with our show. We're the longest-running auction program in the world, ladies and gentlemen. Take advantage of it. We're going once. The bid is a drop to drop. Once. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to drop the hammer. Place those last and final bids at this time. Last and final bids at this time. Going once, going twice, third and final. Congratulations, well done indeed on that stunning work of art by Salvador Dali. I still see some calls coming in. Folks, call during the time. We don't want to miss out. We have some late callers right now. That is totally fine. You'll get a second chance right now with another Dali. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go ahead and bring up a second Salvador Dali from the same suite, from the Biblia Sacra. And I'd like to bring it back to Lucy in London, England, who will tell you more about this. Lucy, back to you.
Thank you very much, and congratulations to our very first bidder there on that wonderful work by Salvador Dali. So for those of you who are now calling in because you're realizing exactly what you're looking at and what you've just missed out on, you're lucky. We've got a work from the same Biblia Sacra series. This is another exquisite and remarkable piece by Salvador Dali, and this is just what he's so good at. You know, he was the master of surrealism. There's really been no other artist since Salvador Dali who has been able to create what he was able to create in his lifetime. So this is an artist who really just reached an incredible height in his career. This is an artist who had two museums dedicated to him during his lifetime. Those are still in existence today. You know, this is an artist who just was able to really capture everybody's imagination. You know, this is an artist who was creating from the moment he was born. He was an artist who decided on surrealism, and he never ever wavered. And so when it came to interpreting the Bible in this particular series, he was able to interpret it in a way that nobody else could. And this is why these pieces have such lasting power. This is why these works are classics. This is why these works of art are considered collector's pieces. These are works of art that really you could hand down through your family, you know, and keep the family Dali in, you know, keep it in in circulation, so to speak. So this is why we get excited about these pieces. And if I take you back to my screen, let's have a look at some of those auction prices and remind ourselves, 30,000 here, 36,000, you know, and we've got works for sale at the moment at 8,000, another one at 8, and one at 5,000. You're at $300. I mean, just let that sink in a moment. These are all Bibliosacras. These are part of the same collection. Let's come back to our work. Let's go to auction. I can see the phones are really starting to ring now. So let's take it back to Leif.
Thank you very much indeed, Lucy. Let's have a look at that certificate of authenticity, please. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Salvador Dali, the title is in Latin, Ipse erat Elias, and it is from the Suite Biblia Sacra. Again, we are dealing with heavily referenced and cataloged Dalis. Ladies and gentlemen, this work is referenced in the field, that is Albert Fields. He has officially published a catalog raisonné of Dali's works, one of the most famous catalog raisonnés, and also in the ML. So a cataloged and referenced Dali, mixed media color lithography with, ladies and gentlemen, serography, varnish, and metallic pigments on handmade paper. Now again, first state. First printing 1964. What does that mean? This is a lifetime Dali. Keep in mind, if you're just joining us, many Dalis were published after he passed away. They're known as posthumous editions. This is not. This is lifetime. It is the first state. It is the first printing, and it was published by Rizzoli Editions. Rizzoli Editions was the editor for the Pope, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, this was the editor for the Pope. So it was published by the Pope's editors in Milan, in Italy. This is an extraordinary gem, ladies and gentlemen. The fact that you're getting mixed media color lithography with serography, varnish, and metallic pigments means that Dali himself oversaw these experimental combinations, making each example so important. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, these are printed on handmade paper, which means the texture, the weight, the longevity far exceed many of the traditional prints you will see. The handmade papers hold pigments better and they age beautifully, which adds so much aesthetic value to it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, got a bid of $375 right now. What did he for? At $375 right now. What did he for? Bid upon 4. Look at it for right now for the bid. I got a bid of $375. At $375 right now. What did he for? Bid upon 4. Look at it for. Let's bring it back to Lucy in London. Lucy, heading over to you.
Thank you. I really like this one. I think this really is so luxurious to me. You know, everything about it just works. And this is Dali illustrating the moment Christ reveals that John the Baptist is the Elijah foretold in the prophecy. This is a pivotal link between the Old Testament prophets and the New Testament revelation. And I think what a lot of people don't realize about the Biblia Sacra is this is a side to Dali that most people don't know. Most viewers will think of Dali as eccentric, flamboyant, provocative, but the Biblia Sacra shows a side that is intimate, reverent, technically refined, emotionally open. This is why these pieces are so special and why they are so collectible. And this collaboration with his friend Alboreto and of course the Catholic Church who commissioned them, Dali respected him so much that he really did do the project justice and he took it seriously. He was almost sort of quite devout about how he created these works. This wasn't Dali creating for shock or fame. This was Dali creating for a friend he respected, a project he believed that mattered, and he brought the Bible to life. These, as Leif has said, are lifetime works, which is really important for everyone to understand. These were done by Salvador Dali himself in his lifetime, and collectors wait years for the Rizzoli editions. And this is exactly what you're bidding on right now. This is the Dali that museums fight over. Let's go back to Leif and back to the auction.
Thank you very much indeed, Lucy. And ladies and gentlemen, we're back here live in our studios in Atlanta, Georgia. Folks, I am holding in my hand, again, the official catalog, one of the official catalogs of the Biblia Sacra, Salvador Dali's Bible series. There we have Biblia Sacra. And if I open it to this page, there you have the image that you are bidding on, ladies and gentlemen. It is in the official catalog. So this is a catalog work. Let's go ahead and focus on the artwork, please, ladies and gentlemen. And I've got a bid right now at $500 right now. Would I give $555 right now? Bid upon $550. Ladies and gentlemen, we're pretty much looking at the price of the frame. Keep in mind, every single work of art includes a brand new frame. Take advantage of that, folks. Got $5 right now. Would I give $550? $550 right now. Would I give $6? At $550 right now. Would I give $6? Bid upon $6. Look at a $600 right now for the bid. At $550 550 right now, would it be 600? At 550 right now, bid upon 6, look at a 600 right now for the bid. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to drop the hammer. I've got 30 seconds left. Place your last and final bids. Don't be a late bidder, folks. This is a very, how can I put this? This is a very well below a fair market value for something like this. Had a bid of 600. At 6 right now, would it be 650? Bid upon 650 right now for the bid at 6. At 650 right now, would it be 7? At 650 right now, bid upon that 7. Would it be 7? Bid upon 7 right now for the bid at 650. Could it be 7? At 700, look at a 7 right now for the bid. I got 650. At 650 right now. At 650 right now, would it be 7? At 650 right now, would it be 7? Bid upon 7. Look at a 7. Got 7 right now. Would it be 750? 7 right now. Bid it be 750. At 7 right now, would it be 750? Bid upon 750 right now for the bid. Ladies and gentlemen, we're running out of time on this work. I'm about to drop the hammer. Place your last and final bids. If you've ever wanted a lifetime Dali, this is not just any Salvador Dali. It is lifetime. It is the first take. It is the first printing, and it is also published by Rizzoli in Milano, Italy. Rizzoli was the Pope's official publisher. So these Dalis were published by the Pope's publishers, ladies and gentlemen. This is a formidable example, of course, of that very, very famous Biblia Sacra by Dali. Now, ladies and gentlemen, 750 right now in the bid. I'm about to drop the hammer with the 8. Bid on 8. Look at 8 right now for the bid at 750. But the 800. Look at 800 right now for the bid. 800 right now with the 850. Right now for the 850. Look at 850 right now for the bid. Got a bid of 800. At 800, place your last and final bids. I see a lot of you on the phones, folks. I see a lot of folks on the phones. Place your last and final bids at this time. And by the way, more calls coming in, folks. We have many, many more calls at this time. So what I recommend, place your final bids. And on top of that, you don't have to follow that bid structure. Right now, we're at 850. We are looking at a counter bid of 900. You're welcome to place what we call a power bid. You could place 1,000, 1,200, any bid you wish above the current price. But folks, we're out of time. Going once, going twice, third, final. Congratulations. Well done indeed on that second stunning work by Salvador Dali. Don't forget, we are going to be bringing up works by Carl Stryker, by Kef. We also have Jean-Michel Basquiat. That's right, folks. We're going to be featuring 2 Basquiats on our show today. But next, we have our third Dali.
Let's go straight to the fourth one, Leif. Let's go to the big one.
The big one? Okay. So we have that voice, folks, that is our producer, John, just mentioning that we do have a hand-signed Dali, bigger hand-signed. This is a stunning work. Lucy, we're dealing with the hand-signed Dali. Let's go ahead and bring it back to Lucy in London.
Oh, I'm so excited about this one. You don't often see hand-signed works by Salvador Dali. So not only is this a lifetime work, everyone, created in his lifetime, this one is an original etching. This also has a signature, hand-signed by Salvador Dali himself. So this is an exciting moment for all of you. Now, some of you, this is the other thing I really want to make sure that I express to you this morning. If you are someone who's new to the world of art, please don't fall into the trap of thinking you need to know anything about art to collect it. You don't. All you need to know is what you love. It's as simple as that. And then perhaps the other aspect you need to know is, what is the market doing in terms of Salvador Dali and works like Salvador Dali, Picasso? Well, it's very stable. So, this is a prime opportunity for you to acquire something really special into your life and hang it on your wall with pride, because Dali is one of the few 20th century artists whose market has remained strong for over 50 years. People just don't tire of Salvador Dali. They rediscover him, and these works have a serenity and a stillness you rarely see in Salvador Dali. Now, if I take you over to my screen, let's have a look at what you would have to spend if you weren't watching this morning on a hand-signed work by Salvador Dali. So we've got etchings here. They've been auctioned at Christie's. They don't come up for auction that often, and when they do, they're 65,000, 58,000, 50,000, 66,000. So we're talking large sums of money here, everyone. We've just got a bid just come in at 1,000. Let's come back to our work. Let's talk a little bit more about exactly what we're looking at, because Salvador Dali, the master of surrealism, this is an artist who had two and still has two museums dedicated to him. And this is a really interesting piece. It's truly extraordinary because it's Dali's interpretation of one of the oldest and most beautiful stories in Greek mythology, Leda and the Swan. But this isn't just myth. This is Dali at his most personal, his most intellectual, and his most exquisitely technical. And we can see that exquisite detail in this particular piece. Now, Dali uses Gala, that was his wife, his lifelong muse, as Leda herself, elevating this entire work with that real beautiful emotional connection. We can see it, we can feel it, can't we, in this particular piece? And if we look closely, nothing in this composition actually touches. The hands, the swan, even the bodies, everything floats. And Dali wanted this. He wanted this entire scene to feel suspended, weightless, touched by the divine. And he really did achieve that. And what makes this edition especially exciting is the technique. You've got an original etching combined with a heliogravure, and you're getting Dali's own incised line, his hand on the plate, and it's enhanced with this depth and richness of those tones which he achieved with the heliogravure. So this is a perfect combination, everyone. Let's go over to the auction because I can see you really are all quite interested. Leif, over to you.
Thank you very much indeed, Lucy. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at the certificate of authenticity for the Dali that we are auctioning off right now. Here we have Salvador Dali, and it's referenced in ML126. It is an original etching and héliogravure in color on vélin d'art wolf paper. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to read this very carefully. This is hand signed and numbered by the artist, by Dali. Hand signed and numbered by Dali in the lower margin. It is printed in 1963. Look at these last four words. Extremely rare and important. These are the words. This is your certificate of authenticity. This is exactly the certificate you will receive with this work of art. Ladies and gentlemen, just look at the frame. The frame itself, with a double fillet custom museum quality frame, is worth about $1,000. If you were to take a frame, if you were to frame this Dali, you go to a frame store, you guys know what I'm talking about. Framing can be a pricier deal. Now, besides that, I just want to let you know this. This was signed and numbered, done by Dali in 1963, which means it's not only a referenced work, it is a lifetime work. So folks, think about this for a second. Every time that you look at this work of art right now, it's becoming harder and harder to find around the world. Why? Well, Dali passed away in 1989. Is he going to create any more art? No. Therefore, is there more supply becoming readily available? No. That's it. As the demand increases, given the number of museums that are being built around the world, ladies and gentlemen, there is a tremendous penchant for the world of collecting fine art, and Dali is one of the top surrealists besides René Magritte and Jean Miro. So you are dealing with one of the most fierce proponents and counterparts indeed of the surrealist movement. Ladies and gentlemen, got a bid of only $2,100. My goodness, we are so far below market value. If you're watching right now, take a bid, folks. You would do extremely well for yourselves. Got a bid of 21 right now, would get 22 at 21 right now, but upon at 22. At 21 right now for the signed lifetime Salvador Dali, and would get 22, got 22 right now for the bid at 23. At 2,200 right now, but get 23, looking at 23 right now. Lucy, I'm about to bring it back to you. 2,200, I got 23. Thank you for that bid at 23, and Lucy, back to you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's ever been a better time to acquire a Salvador Dali than right now. The signature alone is worth about $4,000. And if I take you over to my screen, ladies and gentlemen, you'll see that at the moment we've got one for sale here at £21,000. I'm in the UK, so it's in pounds. 21,000, you're at 2,300. That is for sale currently. It's exactly from the same edition as this. So let's come back to our work. Now, you all know, you've seen, you, I'm hoping, are getting on those phones because you are recognizing the importance of this particular collector's piece and the significance of it. Now, because he used Gala, his wife, as the model, it immediately elevates the work because Gala appears in his most important pieces. Dali believed that Gala was a divine presence in his life. He even described her as his perpetual Leda, and so the work becomes not just mythological but deeply personal. And whenever Dali used Gala as his muse, that means the piece immediately elevates. It makes it much more intimate, more symbolic, more precious to him, and therefore more precious to collectors. So I have to make sure I give you the background to this. And that's exactly what I'm hoping to achieve. And the science as well. Now, there's science in this work. He believed in geometry behind composition. He believed that true beauty came from mathematics. And that's what we see here, because everything is placed using sacred geometry. Nothing is accidental. He's used the golden ratio. He mapped the entire composition onto precise geometric grids. And the spacing between the figures is intentional. Nothing touches. There's a lot of detail, a lot of technical genius in this particular work. And that is why you will find that museums would be fighting over this work. You're going to get to hang it in your home. And it's fully authenticated. It's got that reference by the Albert Field Foundation, which is really important as well. So everybody watching this morning, I really do hope you get on those phones and you just go for it, because this truly is a collector's work. And this is your opportunity. Also, the scale of the work, having Leif standing next to it there, I can imagine this hanging in someone's home and really being the focal point. This is classic. This is a classic work of art. This is a classic collector's item. This is Salvador Dali. I think at his finest, if I'm honest. You know, the floating forms, Dali's anti-gravity principle, you know, he is using a technique which he really adored. Figures that do not physically touch but appear to float. Hands, feet, wings, bodies all hovering. That's what we're seeing here. It's beautiful. It truly is. And he is weaving together myth, mathematics, sacred geometry, surrealism, and his devotion to his wife, all in one poetic, levitating image. So if you've ever wanted a Dali that feels powerful, sensual, and utterly timeless, this is the one. Let's go back to the auction because things are hotting up. Over to you, Leif.
Thank you so much indeed, Lucy, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are live here in our studios in Atlanta, Georgia, and our dear friend Lucy is in London, England. Now, folks, keep in mind, Lucy said something incredibly important, and I'd like to echo that. Museums, this is what they're collecting. They want the top-tier Dalis. They want the top-tier masters. Now, keep in mind, 1963, when this was made, it is hand-signed. Ladies and gentlemen, these works don't exist anymore. Dali passed away in 1989. Every single second you blink and you look at this, it's becoming harder and harder to find. These are wonderful works, ladies and gentlemen. On top of that, his name is indelibly written within the annals of art history. And there's no doubt in my mind that 100 years from now, people are still going to be talking about Dali because he changed the way we view culture, art, we view history, everything that has to do with the surrealist movement. Salvador Dali was a major proponent. In fact, he created his works during the hypnagogic state of mind. That's the state of mind between sleep and awareness. But ladies and gentlemen, got a bid right now. 33 right now would give 44. At 33 right now would give 34. Look at the size of this, folks. Fully authentic, framed, matted, ready to hang on your wall. That's it. You just got to open up the box and hang it on your wall. Fully certified. At 35 right now would give 36. 35 right now would give 36. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've ever wanted a signed Dali, now's your chance because this is far below. I want to send it back to Lucy very quickly. Can we see that price comp once again, Lucy, one more time? And then we're just going to give you, right now, we got a last call, folks. So right now, we're going to give you a last call. Lucy, let's go ahead and bring it back to Lucy.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, everybody, we're at 3,600 currently. If you haven't picked up the phone yet, you need to, because if you wanted to buy this in real life, as I like to call it, let's go to my screen, because here is real life. 21,000. We truly are presenting something extraordinary to you right now. £21,000, so what? That's about $25,000. You're at $3,600. Let's come back to our work. Now, listen, you know, if you've got money earmarked to spend on something significant and something wise, you know, the Salvador Dali collector's market is very stable. You know, he is one of those top 5 of the 20th century. You've got Picasso, you have Dali, Chagall, Miro. Those are the big deals. Salvador Dali is one of those artists that nobody tires of. Everybody finds him fascinating. And I think this is a purely beautiful interpretation that he's done here. You know, this shows his mastery, his skill, his genius, which was often overshadowed by the fact he was so eccentric, you know, but he was truly a genius, and this is him at his height. I think of that genius. Let's go back to Leif, and this is your final chance, everyone. Get on those phones. Over to you, Leif.
Thank you very much indeed, Lucy. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back here live in our studios in Atlanta, Georgia. Got a bid of 3,800 right now with a G 39. At 38 right now, but a G 39. Looking at 39 right now for the bid on a hand-signed Salvador Dali, lifetime Dali, done by him. Folks, I'm about to drop the hammer. Where's our Pennsylvania is taking the lead right now. Thank you, Pennsylvania, taking the lead on this Dali. At 38 right now with a G 39. At 38 right now with a G 39. Looking at 39 right now for the bid. At 3,800. At 38 right now with a G 39. Bid upon 39. Look at a 39 right now for the bid. Got a bid of 3,800. At 38 right now for the signed Salvador Dali, referenced, cataloged, lifetime, rare Dali, folks. I mean, we are so underbid here. Lucy just showed you the price comp. John, what was that price comp for? 21,000? Something like that. Unbelievable. Four right now. At the bid of 4. At the bid of 4 right now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to drop the hammer. 4 is the bid. At 4 right now, would give 42.50. At 4 right now. At 4 right now. At 4 right now. Last and final call. I'm about to drop the hammer. Place your last and final bids at this time, folks. Somebody's about to get one of the deals of their lifetimes here. I'm about to drop the hammer. Place your last and final bids at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, many calls coming in right now. My recommendation, place the power bid. Place a power bid. What does that mean? You don't have to follow in our bid increments. If you want to place a bid of 5,000, you want to place a bid of 6,000 or 10,000, it is up to you. You place any bid that you want above the current bidding. 42 right now, Woodgie 43, 42 right now, Woodgie 43, got Pennsylvania in the lead at 4,200 right now, Woodgie 43, but upon 43, look at the 43 for the bid, at 42 right now, Woodgie 43, but upon at 43, look at that 43 right now for the bid at 42, at 42 right now, at 42 right now, Woodgie 43, look at that 43 right now for the bid, I got 43 right now, New Jersey's in the lead, what exit? Never mind. All right, got 44 right now. Woodgie 45 at 44 right now. Woodgie 45 at 4,400 right now. Woodgie 45, bid upon 45. Look at the 45 right now for the bid at 45 for a lifetime cataloged Salvador Dali, signed, ladies and gentlemen, very rare and in impeccable condition, by the way, at 4,500 right now. Woodgie 46 at 45 right now. Woodgie 46, look at 46 right now for the bid at 4,500. At 45, I'm about to drop the hammer, ladies and gentlemen. I see many people on the phone. This goes to only one of you. Only one of you is going to get this. Many on the phone right now. Place your last and final bids. Going once. Pennsylvania in the lead. That is going once. Ladies and gentlemen, last and final bids.
New Jersey's been a good bidder. We're going to give her 10 more seconds. Yep, 4-6.
4-6 with New Jersey. New Jersey takes the lead right now. Jersey. All right. 4-7. Back in Pennsylvania at 47 with Pennsylvania. At 4,700. At 4,700 with Pennsylvania right now. At 45. We got 45 or 47? We got 45? 47, thank you. At 47 right now, Woodgie 48, 47 right now, Woodgie 48, look at 48 right now for the bid. I got 48 right now, Woodgie 49. I got 5,000, thank you for that power bid at 5. At 5 right now, at 5 right now, at 5 right now, we got a power bid. That's what happens. If you place a power bid, it will get you well in the lead, ladies and gentlemen. And keep in mind, you are still far below what is considered a fair market value for a signed Salvador Dali, catalog Dali, lifetime Dali. Folks, it doesn't get better than this. At 52.50 right now, Woodgie 55. At 52.50 right now, Woodgie 55. Look at the 55 right now for the bid at 55. Look at the 55 right now for the bid. I got 52.50 right now, Woodgie 55. At 52.50 right now, Woodgie 55. My dear colleague Lucy, who's in London right now, just showed you a price comparison. I believe it was 21,000 if I'm not mistaken, Lucy. At 52.50 right now, Woodgie 55. Look at the 55. Woodgie 55. Look at the 55 right now, Woodgie 55. At 52.50. This is the last call, folks. I know I've been saying that, but we've just got so many calls, and our phone team is busy with so many people at this time, but this is going for the top bidder. This is going for the top bidder. So place your power bid. 55. 55 right now, Woodgie 57, 50, 55 right now, Woodgie 757, 50, but bond at 57.50 right now for the bid. At 5,500. At 55 for the signed Salvador Dali. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to drop the hammer. 55, 50. 500, 57.50. Thank you for the bid at 6. At 57, we're still way under bid. Ladies and gentlemen, this is far below what would be considered a fair market value at this time at 6,000. 6,000. 6 right now. At 6 right now. At 6 right now. Somebody place a bid at 10. I mean, this is so far below. At 6 right now, 6,000, somebody's going to be very happy. 6,000 right now. At 6 right now, I'm out of time. Going once, going twice, third, final! Congratulations, well done indeed on that stunning work of art by the great surrealist master Salvador Dali. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a little bit of a detour because we are going to infuse our show at this time with none other than one of the greatest sensations. There are so many urban artists that are spriting around the world, and there's just a couple, there's just a handful that not only are exhibiting together, but they are leading the vanguard and they are defining what urban art is. You've heard about Banksy, you've heard about Bambi Kef. Ladies and gentlemen, right now, it gives me such a pleasure to introduce to you to Carl Stryker. Let's bring it to Lucy.
I am really excited about Carl Stryker. First of all, I just want to say congratulations to everyone who acquired their Salvador Dali. We are now changing gears and we're going into the 21st century, and we are going to talk about street art, which is pretty much the art movement of our century, and there are many reasons for this. So to begin with, you might think, oh, you know, this is quite simplistic art, and do not underestimate the power of this. And also underestimate the skill behind it, because often what appears quite simple is anything but. And that has been demonstrated over the centuries by many, many artists. So what we're looking at here is a work by Carl Stryker. It's an original piece. And original means there's only one of these in the entire world, so only one person can own it and only one person can hang it in their home. This is art that we're all wanting in this modern day, and for various different reasons. Now, I really do want to stress that we should all be buying because we love art. Buy because you love art, absolutely. But feel reassured knowing you're buying into a category that has never been more in demand. Street influenced art, pop culture influenced themes, bold contemporary visuals. This is where the market is moving. And Carl Stryker is right there in the heart of it. And you, I know, love Carl Stryker. So it's really great that we have an original for you this morning. Street inspired art is one of the strongest, fastest growing categories in the contemporary market. Collectors are loving bold, graphic, pop culture infused work. And this is exactly where Carl Stryker really thrives. Now, Carl Stryker, he's really interesting because he's one of those artists that we don't know who he is. He has decided to keep his identity secret. So he will go out in disguise and he will create on the streets. And if he's having an exhibition, he will drop that art at the door of his art dealer because he doesn't want anybody to know who he is. And there's a reason for that. It means he can blend in with the environment when he's creating street pieces. And it really adds to the mystery as well, a bit like Banksy. Now, if I take you to my screen, let's just have a look, because Banksy really is where it started, Girl with Balloon. And we can see as well that Carl Stryker is almost appropriating some of Banksy's iconic works and bringing them to life in his own way. And when a Carl Stryker appears on the street, everybody is very happy because he's very popular, and wherever his piece, very much like a Banksy, wherever it is created, that will draw the crowds to it, and it will bring business into that city, into that town, and into those businesses. So he creates out there in the streets, and he is creating his own characters, and that's what an artist will do. They will build upon their own following first, their own character. Here is his character, Shaun the Sheep, and merging with the environment as well. And then there is Shaun the Sheep at a very famous Vista Point here in the United Kingdom. And then he started to get a little bit more clever. These multi-layered stencil pieces, again, really intricate designs, very hard to execute, taking into consideration the environment, being clever so that he will then, of course, be shared on social media, because this is really what happened with the street art market. Let's come back to our work. It is all to do with us driving the popularity of these artists. And if we take it back to auction, I'm sure Leif can tell us a little bit more. Over to you, Leif.
Thank you very much indeed, Lucy. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just standing next to the work of art so you get an idea of scale. This is one of the leading street artists on the planet, folks. And street art, you think about Banksy, you think about Kef, who we're going to be showing in a bit, is taking the world by storm. It is a direct representation of life itself becoming by the way, one of the most important art movements, not only of this century, but this millennium. Let's look at that certificate, please. Ladies and gentlemen, here we have Carl Stryker. It is entitled Beagle with Butterfly. You are bidding on an acrylic and spray enamel on canvas, signed and dated by the artist on the Verso. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a unique work. It is an original, one of a kind, executed by Stryker 2024. Imagine that. Imagine hanging on your wall a work of art by a leading and very, very up-and-coming, ladies and gentlemen, street artist. This is a formidable piece. What I want to go ahead and do is show you the back of it so that we can take a look at that signature on the Verso. So ladies and gentlemen, right over here, you will see on the top right, you will see the signature of Carl Stryker right over there. So it is a one-of-a-kind work. Only one person in the entire planet will have this. And ladies and gentlemen, of course, using this sentimental aspect of Peanuts, of Snoopy we see here, but it goes far, far beyond just that. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we have a bid of $750 right now, Woodie 800 at $750 right now, Woodie 8. And with that, let's go ahead and bring it back to Lucy in London. Lucy, back to you.
750 is way beneath what these works are actually selling for. And if I take you over to my screen, you'll understand what I am saying. 35,000 there for a work. An original by Carl Stryker. It is a little bit bigger than ours, but not that much bigger. You're at 750 for an original. Remember, it's an original. Even his limited editions sell for 2,500. That's how in demand he is. There's another one there for 35,000. So let's all just take a moment, if we come back to our piece, for an original piece, an original work by Carl Stryker. He is one of the leading street artists out there at the moment. He is so in demand, causing a stir on both sides of the pond, as we like to say. So for me, if you have just sat down and you are loving this work and you're thinking to yourself, I love it, I don't know what it is about it, but I just love it, that is the moment to get on the phone. That is a gut reaction. That is what you should be acting upon, because that's what collecting art is all about. Is collecting things that we love and hanging them on our wall and having them in our homes every single day for us to get immense joy from. And that is why I really like Carl Stryker. He doesn't expect too much from us. He brings into the 21st century something nostalgic. Everybody knows who Snoopy is. It doesn't matter how old you are, we all know who Snoopy is. And it gives you that warm feeling, that happy feeling, that nostalgic feeling. And then he gives it that urban edge. So you're not just collecting a piece of art, you're buying into a movement that is quite literally defining 21st century culture. And it's what the world is collecting right now. And you'll have that in your own collection. It's an original piece, it's unique, only one of you can have it. It's very striking, and this is what he's really good at as well. He's good at nailing those colours. And let me also take you back to my screen. This was his inspiration when he was a young boy. And again, it sort of dismisses that stereotype, doesn't it, of a street artist. This is a work by a master, Georges de la Tour, done in 1650. He was captivated by the light, and it got him to go out on the streets and start creating. He then became so big that he's routinely posted on platforms like X. No one knows who he is, but articles are written about him. And there is the original Snoopy and Charles Schulz. Let's go over to Leif. Over to you.
Thank you very much indeed, Lucy. And here we have, let's take a look at that certificate, please, one more time. We have Carl Stryker, Beagle with Butterfly, acrylic and spray enamel on canvas, signed and dated by the artist on the Verso, unique work. So ladies and gentlemen, you are dealing with a one-of-a-kind work by an artist who, by the way, Lucy, I'm not sure if you have the image of the Burner exhibition, but there's an exhibition taking place right now of the leading street artists in the world. Banksy is there, Kef is there, Carl Stryker is there as well. So he is leading the vanguard, folks. Think about this. You're bidding on an original work of art, one of a kind, of an artist who not only is a major proponent of the first, considered one of the first major art movements of this century, which is urban art, but understand the consequence of that. That means That's the first major movement of this millennium, and you are bidding on one of the leaders of this movement. So ladies and gentlemen, for an original work of art, not even his prints go for $1,600. This is an original, one of a kind. There are 8 billion people on this planet. Only one of you is going to get it. 16 right now. What do you get? 17, 16, bid upon 17. Look at that 17 right now for the bid. You know what? I want to make everybody happy, folks. We have a 2-hour show. We are going to go crazy. Get on the phones right now. Let's do this. Come on, let's do this. Bring it up. Ladies and gentlemen, 1 is a work of art, 2 is a pair. 2 original works of art. These will be stunning anywhere in your home as a pair collection. You're bidding on the pair, and guess what? Let's keep the price the same. So far, $1,600, and you're getting a second one, original work of art. Let me go ahead and take a look at that certificate, and I'm going to bring it back to Lucy, who's going to tell you a bit more about it. So ladies and gentlemen, you're bidding on a pair of originals by one of the leaders of the urban art movement. Let's take a look at that certificate, please. It is Carl Stryker. The second one I just brought in is entitled Beetle with Butterfly. It is an original acrylic painting on canvas, signed and dated by the artist on the verso. It is a unique work executed by Stryker last year. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen, a pair of stunning original works, one of a kind, by one of the leading urban artists on the planet. Let's go ahead and bring it back to Lucy. Lucy, back to you.
Wow. America, you really do have an incredible opportunity now. Where are these going to go? Go and measure up, because this is an opportunity you do not want to miss out on. These are 2 originals done by Carl Stryker. You've got an opportunity to bid on them right now. So get on those phones, because like I've said, you know, he is at the forefront of a new wave of urban artists. And he was, as Leif quite rightly says, he's been part of the Berner exhibition that has been going from state to state in the United States, and he is hanging alongside Banksy, hanging alongside Pure Evil, you know, these big names within the street art world. This just demonstrates exactly where he's at. Street art, one of the fastest growing movements in the entire world. We've got Banksy cause invaded the whole generation of street artists, inspired creators, has changed what contemporary collecting looks like. And Carl Stryker taps into that energy. This is the movement of now. This is what the new collectors, the under 50s, the crypto crowd, the culture investors, they're all buying. And also, even the older collectors are understanding. Lots of the older collectors we're finding out now want to change up their environment. They are really loving the modern aesthetic, and these pieces really do, I think, add some depth to a home. You know, these are interior designers' dreams. We've got street art jumping from the alley wall to the auction room, and the only way they make that transition from the street into our galleries and into our homes is if us, the people driving the movement, love the artwork. And that's exactly what's happened to Carl Stryker. There are millions of street artists trying to make it. Not all of them do. Only those ones who have talents and they have something unique about them that sets them apart from everyone else do. And that's Carl Stryker, that's Banksy, that's Pure Evil, those big names. So if I was you, I would be getting on those phones. Also, remember, we've got Christmas coming up. Can't believe how quickly it's come up. These would make incredible gifts as well. Street art has always had that raw, rebellious pulse, but now it's become one of the smartest collecting categories. Carl Stryker sits right in that space. He does. He's got that bold imagery, graphic impact, culturally driven work that speaks directly to us, the modern collector. And I think what I love about Carl Stryker's work is that it feels alive. You know, it makes us smile. We easily understand it. Let's go back to Leif, because everybody is getting on those phones now, aren't they, Leif? So it's over to you.
Yes, the phones have been ringing off the hook right now, ladies and gentlemen. I got a bit of 2,200. These are 2 original works of art by a leading urban artist, and you're getting the pair, folks. Original one of, nobody else in the world is going to have this. I mean, imagine how amazing that is to have these on your wall. Every day you'll appreciate it, you'll look at it, and you'll realize, my goodness, This is not just any artist. This is a big name, folks, and he is getting even bigger. But the thing is, like Lucy says, I want to echo what Lucy says because she said something very important. Ladies and gentlemen, the number one reason to collect art is because you love it. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. It's not about the money. It's not about where you're going to hang. It's about that connection. It's a very visceral, it's a very ephemeral connection that we have with the world of fine art. And this adds to your life in a way that nothing else does. I'm out of time on these. 2,300. I'm not going to go back to Lucy. I'm going to give you 1 minute. Ladies and gentlemen, at 23 right now, would get 24 at 23 right now. Place those power bids. Get in the lead. Many bidders on the call right now at 23. For original, one of a kind. You're bidding on the pair, ladies and gentlemen. Just the frames alone, these are canvas wrap works. Keep in mind, these are canvas. So these are on canvas wrap works, museum quality frame. Just the frames alone on this pair, I would say conservatively is well over $1,200 just for the frames, just for the entire framing by itself. So ladies and gentlemen, imagine that. You're only at $2,400. At only $2,400 to these original works. At 24 right now, would get 25. I'm about to drop the hammer. I'm about to sell it. At 24 right now. At 24, would get 25. 24 right now, but it's on at 25. At 24 right now, would get 25. Got 25 right now, would get 26. At 25 right now, with 26. At 25 right now, would get 26. At 25 right now, would get 26. 25 right now, but upon 26. Look at that 26 right now for the bid. I'm about to drop the hammer. Ladies and gentlemen, it is about to sell. At 2,500 right now. At 25 for the bid. At 25 right now, would get 25. 25 would get 26. At 2,500 right now, would get 26. Got 26 right now for the bid. At 27. 27 is the bid. At 27 is the bid. At 27 is the bid. Would get 27. Ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind these are original acrylic paintings on canvas, which means rich pigment, texture, hand-painted detail that's visible even across the room. You just have to get really, really close. And the fact is, these are these charming, emotionally resonant subjects. The art, which means the artwork creates instant connection and nostalgia with a twist of urban art, folks. 27, I'm about to drop the hammer. Once, twice, third, final, sold. Congratulations. Well done indeed. Next one up, please. Let's see what we have available. Congratulations. I still see calls coming in. Folks, be an early bidder. You do not want to miss out on the kind of prices that we're getting here this morning. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to bring up a really, really big name. Fundamental, instrumental, not only in terms of his place in art history, but ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the one and only Jean-Michel Basquiat. Let's bring it to Lucy.
Oh, wow. Okay, so first of all, congratulations there on our bidder, to our bidder rather, on those wonderful works by Carl Stryker. But we're now moving and changing gears to Jean-Michel Basquiat. And I mean, these are just incredible. And for anyone who is sitting there right now and understanding the enormity of your opportunity, well done to you. For those of you who perhaps currently you need me to tell you, then I'm going to tell you this is the moment we've been waiting for, because Basquiat is one of those names that instantly electrifies a room. When his work appears, collectors pay attention. So let's pay attention, because there are artists people admire and then there are artists people chase, and Basquiat is one of those. He belongs in that second category. And the thing is with Basquiat is that he has the most fascinating story. He was born in Brooklyn in 1960 to a Haitian father and a Puerto Rican mother. He grew up surrounded by culture, by language, by creativity. He spoke fluent French and Spanish by the age of 11. He spent his childhood sketching anatomy from his mother's art books and the medical book, Gray's Anatomy, and by his late teens was turning the streets of downtown New York into his first gallery. Under the tag SAMO, S-A-M-O, short for same old, and you can make up the rest. He covered Soho walls with cryptic, poetic messages that caught the attention of New York's emerging art scene. So this is an artist who, quite frankly, was just causing quite a stir. Now, the tragic thing is he died very, very young, and he died at the height of his career, which was in 1985. So this is the piece you're bidding on right now. So you can imagine what he would have left behind had he not passed away at the age of 28. Now, if we go to my screen, I just want to show you something, because you are bidding on a lithograph in colours, and it's a lifetime work done in his lifetime, 1985, at the peak of his powers. We've got a work here, 55,000, and this is actually an estate work. So this has been released by the family of Basquiat, and all of his works were passed to the family when he passed away. And you can see here that it's been stamped, and it's the administrators of the estate of Jean-Michel Basquiat. That is $55,000. We've got others here, 600 to 630,000, 185,000. All of these are not lifetime works. Let's come back to our piece. Yours, the one you're bidding on right now, is, and that's the most amazing thing. And I'm going to talk more about that when Leif gives me the opportunity. But ladies and gentlemen, please understand the enormity here. And Leif, I'm sure you'll agree. Let's go back to you.
Absolutely agree, Lucy. Let's take a look at that certificate, please. Ladies and gentlemen, America, this is your chance to own a Basquiat. Jean-Michel Basquiat, Unbleached Titanium is the title of the work. You're bidding on a lithograph. It's printed in color on wove paper. Ladies and gentlemen, published by Edition Gallery Bruno Bischofberger in Zurich in Switzerland, 1985, which means you are bidding on a lifetime Jean-Michel Basquiat. He had a very young life. He died at a very young age, but was one of the most influential artists of the last century. Look at the last two words. This is extremely rare, ladies and gentlemen. You're bidding on an extremely rare Jean-Michel Basquiat released by his estate. My goodness, what an opportunity you have. Analysts got the bidding at 1,000. At 1,000 right now, would it be 11? Look at 11 right now, but it 11. Look at 11 right now for the bid. I got 11. At 11 right now, would it 12? 11 right now, bid upon 12. Look at 12 right now for the bid. At 12. At 12 right now, would it 13? 12, bid upon 13. Look at 13 right now for the bid at 12. At 12 right now. At 12 right now, ladies and gentlemen, look at 13. Place those power bids. Place a power bid. Get yourself in the lead. That means you are able to place a bid of 15, a bid of 2,000, a bid of 5,000, a bid of 10,000. It is up to you. Ladies and gentlemen, got a bid of 13 right now. Would it give 14? At 13, thank you for the bid at 14. Let's go ahead and bring it back to Lucy. Lucy, back to you.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the Jean-Michel Basquiat, this is your opportunity. There are only really a very small amount of lifetime works left, and you've got an opportunity now to bid on it this morning. As I've said, 1985 was the pinnacle of his career. And the reason for that is that he, over sort of the course of him sort of roaming the streets and creating his works of art on the streets, he bumped into Warhol a couple of times and totally fanboyed him at that moment. But he was introduced to a publisher called Bruno Bischofberger, and that name should immediately cause you to remember the certificate. And that changed everything for him. So Bischofberger took him to the factory, which was where Andy Warhol worked, and introduced him to Andy Warhol. They took Polaroids together, sort of selfies, because Warhol would go around with a Polaroid camera. And that was, at that time, we didn't have, obviously, cell phones and things like that. And they went on to have lunch. So Bischofberger and Warhol had lunch. And during that lunch, Basquiat went back to his studio and he created a painting, and he created it and then ran back to the lunch, and really that sealed his fate, because then he started to work with Warhol, and then Bischofberger put on an exhibition. It was the only exhibition that Warhol and him ever had, and that's why it's so important to note that on the certificate. It is significant. So let's go back to my screen. We'll just have another look. So here he is, the man himself. And then we know he's in those major museums around the world. We've got his originals here selling for 98 million, 81 million, 73 million. The world went crazy for him when he passed away at 27 years old. And they knew that he hadn't left much of a legacy, but he was a major deal and was going to stay that way for the rest of the artistic life. And then we've got 55,000 there for a screen print, which isn't even a lifetime work. We have 600,000 there. These are unsigned works, also estate pieces. 185,000, 199,000 there, not done in his lifetime, stamped by the estate. 130,000 also an estate piece. So I'm showing you this because this work that you're bidding on currently is a lifetime work done in 1985, and it's published by Bruno Bischofberger. And this is major, everyone. I hope you all understand the significance of this. And I'm sure Leif will speak more to that as well. And he is the man who married Basquiat to Warhol. And in actual fact, Warhol started to become jealous of Basquiat and sort of severed the relationship from that point onwards. So, you know, fascinating story. Sadly, he passed away at 27. Let's come back to our work. And we're going to keep that up on the screen. And we're going to go back to Leif.
Very much. I'd like to show that certificate. Remember the name Bischofberger, folks, because that is on your certificate, published by Edition Gallery Bruno Bischofberger in Zurich, 1985. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, you are bidding on a lifetime Jean-Michel Basquiat. Just happens to be one of the most important artists of the 20th century, together with Andy Warhol. Ladies and gentlemen, do not miss out on this opportunity. And let me ask you a question. I know we are all over America right now. When was the last time you had an opportunity to bid on a Basquiat, a Jean-Michel Basquiat from his estate, lifetime, for $2,000? If your answer is never, then if you want something you've never had, you've got to do something you've never done. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've never had that opportunity, when do you think it's going to happen again? Take advantage of it. There's a reason why you're watching right now. There's a reason why you're bidding right now. I see a lot of bids coming in. Do yourselves a favor. You're bidding on one of the most important artists of the 20th century. Folks, this is not only pivotal for art history, but this is for the sake of posterity. You go to museums, his art is in the top museums on the planet. You can't go into a museum and buy the artwork. The artwork is there for the sake of posterity, for future generations. That's how important that is. That's how important this work of art is, ladies and gentlemen. At 2-3, at 23 right now, would get 24, bid upon 24 right now on a Jean-Michel Basquiat lithograph, lifetime, printed by Bischofberger. It doesn't get better than this. 23 right now, would get 24 at 23 right now, bid upon 24. Got 24. Lucy, back to you. Let's bring it back to Lucy.
Yeah, the fact that it was Bischofberger, you know, on the certificate is authentication in itself, to be very honest with you. And then 1985, the year, this was when he was at his height of his fame. And lifetime Basquiat lithographs have consistently proven their strength on the market. Demand is steady, global and emotional. And you can still feel the Warhol energy here. And that is the confidence of a pure Basquiat. And his lifetime prints, they're fiercely sought after. Pieces created whilst he was alive carry a weight that posthumous works simply can't. So what we've got here is a lifetime work. It is very collectible. The fact you've got that Bruno Bischofberger, it's a tongue twister, on the certificate is of paramount importance. And really, we have to consider so many things when we are talking about a Basquiat of this caliber, because this is an artist whose work is represented in every major museum and serious private collection around the world. When works become available, they don't wait on the market. Collectors know exactly what they're looking for. He transcended many market cycles. He sits firmly in that rare category of artists whose legacy defines value itself. And that is so true. It's that legacy. When he passed away at 27, he's a member of that very famous 27 Club. So look that up if you don't know what I'm talking about. It is the same age that Hendrix, Joplin and Cobain all died at 27. And so in less than a decade, he produced more than 1,000 paintings and drawings that completely changed the face of contemporary art. But he passed away young. So there is only a certain amount in circulation. To own a work that he created in his lifetime, and not only that, but a piece from 1985, which was a pivotal year in his career, because it was just after that collaboration with Andy Warhol and when his confidence as a solo artist was at its height. That is what it's all about when it comes to collecting a work by Basquiat. And aside from that, just look at it. It's so cool, you know, to own a Basquiat. Imagine that. And look at that on a daily basis and feel that pride of having it in your collection. I mean, I love his style as well. You know, he uses a lot of symbolism. You've got a mix of figurative and abstract elements as well. You've got this very intense experience, and that's what Basquiat's all about for me. It's just amazing. Let's go over to Leif and to the auction.
Thank you so much indeed, Lucy. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back here live in our studios in Atlanta, Georgia. And welcome back, everybody. Thank you, Lucy, for that information. We got a bit of 3,000 right now. We are dealing with Jean-Michel Basquiat. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine having this in your home. Somebody walks in there and says, you have a Basquiat in your home? I mean, this is, people pay money to walk into a museum to see these kind of works of art. I'm going to say it again. You have a chance to bid on something that people pay money to go and see. That's incredible. So what are you waiting for, ladies and gentlemen? We've got a lot of bids right now. Only one of you is going to get this. Place a power bid, folks. Place a power bid. What does that mean? I got a last call right now. That was our producer in the back. Got a bid of 3 right now. Would give 31. Bid upon 31. Looking at 31 right now for the bid. I got a bid of 3. At 3 right now. Would give 31. Bid upon 31. Got 31 right now. Would give 32. 31 right now. Would give 32. Bid upon 32. Looking at 32 right now for the bid. At 31 right now. At 31 right now. Would give 32. Bid upon 32. Looking at 32 right now for the bid. At 32. And would give 32. Got 32 right now. Would give 33. 32 right now. Bid upon 33. Do we have a bid? We have a bid. A lot of people calling in right now at 32. At 32 right now, would give 33 to 34. At 33 right now, would give 34. At 33 right now, would give 32. I'm about to drop the hammer. A lot of folks on the phone. Folks, please listen. You're seeing the bid increment. We're at 35. We're looking at 36. You don't have to bid 36. You can bid 4,000. You can bid 5. You can bid 6,000. Why would you do that? That will give you tremendous leverage in being the leading bidder, because only one of you is going to get it. I see many, many calls right now, but only one of you is going to get this. So this is an auction. Ladies and gentlemen, we are below what I consider to be a fair market value on these works, so take advantage of that. 35, there goes my gavel. That's a good luck, actually. 35 right now, would give 36. At 35 right now, would give 36. But upon that 36, look at 36 right now for the bid. Got a bit of 35. Let's focus on the artwork, please. I want to take a closer zoom in on the artwork. Thank you very much, guys. At 35 right now, would give 36. At 35 right now, would give 36. But upon 36, look at 36 right now for the bid. I got a bit of 35. I got a bit of 35. We're going once. We're going twice. Ladies and gentlemen, third and final. Congratulations, well done indeed on that stunning work by Jean-Michel Basquiat. But wait, we have another one coming up. Yes, we have a second Basquiat. We were waiting a long time for this, folks. This is a phenomenal work of art. If you like the first one, you're going to love this one. And by the way, congratulations to the successful bidders. And thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, for everybody who called in. Stay tuned. Lucy, we're bringing it back to you. Back to Lucy.
Thank you. I'm so excited. Congratulations to our successful bidder there. You won't regret that acquisition. I mean, it is a major, major deal to own a lifetime Basquiat. You saw the prices on works that are estate pieces, meaning they've been released after he passed away. And you own now a piece that was created in his lifetime. So this is really important that everybody understands that. And there are so many things to talk about when it comes to Basquiat. I want to show you something in just a moment as well, if I can get to my screen again without ruining the share screen. But yes, when it comes to Basquiat, his works of art, as we've seen, sell for huge amounts of money. And I hope, take you to a few things. Let's go back to my screen. So his originals there, this is the highest ever for a Basquiat, 98 million on the left hand side there. That's without buyer's premium. So with buyer's premium, $114 million. So that shows you where he sits within the art market. It's right up there, you know, with Warhol. Huge that you know this. And then unsigned works, you know, pieces that were not done in his lifetime. So you've got a lifetime opportunity here. 1985, height of his career, pivotal moment. He just had that exhibition with Warhol, the only exhibition with Warhol. You've got that publisher, Bischofberger, major, major deal. And you're at 1,000, 600 to 630,000 there. 185,000, 199,000. Again, these were not done in his lifetime. They've been stamped by the estate, yet they are for sale at $199,000, nearly $200,000. So you have an exceptional opportunity right now, ladies and gentlemen. Another one here, 130,000. Not done in his lifetime, stamped by the estate. I have to stress this. So if we come back to our work, you have an opportunity to own one done in 1985 when he was still alive. He passed away in 1988, so 3 years later. And the thing is that no one was expecting him to pass away at 27. He passed away, and then the art market went crazy because people realized what this artist was going to be in the future. So I'm hoping everybody recognizes the opportunity they've got right now, but I have to take it back to Leif and back to the auction.
Thank you very much indeed, Lucy. Let's go ahead and take a look at that certificate of authenticity for this Jean-Michel Basquiat. So here we have, ladies and gentlemen, Jean-Michel Basquiat. Titian is the title of the piece. It is a lithograph printed in color on wove paper, published by Edition Gallery Bruno Bischofberger in Zurich, 1985, extremely rare. And what's wonderful about this Basquiat, ladies and gentlemen, it's the same year as the one that was just sold a couple of minutes ago. So this is a wonderful pairing. This is an extremely important work of art. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, on your actual certificate, just look at those two last words. This is your certificate that you will receive with this work of art. It is not rare. It is extremely rare. Every second you look at a Basquiat, don't forget, he passed away when he was 27 years old. Had a very short but incredibly robust life. And the fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, every second you look at these works of art, they're becoming harder and harder and harder to find. Museums gobble these up. So we're competing against museums now. This is the caliber of the artwork that you're bidding on at this time, by one of the leaders, one of the top artists, not only the last century, but ladies and gentlemen, you could effectively take the top 25 most influential artists, let's say, of art history, and you will find, ladies and gentlemen, Jean-Michel Basquiat among them. Don't miss out. If you've ever had a chance to bid on something, ladies and gentlemen, this is the one you want to bid on. At 2 right now. At 2 right now, we're going to get 21, bid upon 21, looking at 21 right now for the bid at 2. At 2 right now. At 2 right now, we're going to get 21. At 2, bid upon 21, looking at 21 right now for the bid. Ladies and gentlemen, Jean-Michel Basquiat, fully certified, published by Bischofberger, 1985, lifetime, Basquiat, 2000 right now, we're going to get 21. At 2, bid upon 21. At 2, bid upon 21, we're going to get 21, bid upon that 21 right now for the bid. Let's see what we got. Calls coming in. 2 right now. Many calls coming in. Ladies and gentlemen, take advantage of this. Got a bit of 2. Lucy, 21. 21 right now. Thank you for the bid. Lucy, bring it back to you. Bring it back to Lucy.
I wish that I was able to bid right now because I would be bidding on this. I think this is a serious work, and at the same time it's got that modern edge, which is really appealing, I think, to anyone who is collecting art right now. Let's go over to my screen. Let me just show you that this was the Polaroid that they took famously at the factory. And then on the left-hand side is the painting that Basquiat did for Andy Warhol, which really just changed everything for him. So if we come back to our work, I just really like to show you exactly what you're bidding on. But I have to tell you that Basquiat's work is not just collected, he's pursued. He really is. When a work comes up for auction, people want it. And you've got a chance right now. And this is classic Basquiat. This is what he was all about. You know, this is the inside workings of his mind, really, is what we're looking at. And, you know, the fact that it is a Bischofberger edition as well, the same year he went global because of Bischofberger, the same year the world truly caught on. This links them to a landmark moment in his career. This particular piece does that. Because they were published by Bischofberger, who champions Basquiat internationally, these prints carry real provenance and serious collectability, everyone. So really what collectors do is they treat these editions like mini masterworks. That's what they treat them as. and you will be hanging that mini masterwork on your wall. Owning one of these is like owning a piece of art history almost. It's Basquiat in transition. It's Basquiat coming of age. For collectors who want that spirit and impact of Basquiat without paying 7 figures, this is it. And you've got your moment. Let's go back to Leif.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got a bid of 31 right now. Would it get 32? At 31 right now, would it get 32? Bid on 32 right now for the bid. Got a lot of bids here, folks. A lot of action happening, but only one of you is going to get this. Place that power bid. Don't miss out. 31 right now, would it get 32? At 31 right now, would it get 32? Look at that 32 right now for the bid. At 3,100. I got a bid of 3,100. I'm about to drop the hammer. We've got 1 minute left on the Jean-Michel Basquiat.
Right,
ladies and gentlemen, bid
call.
now or forever hold your peace. Take advantage of it. At 31 right now, would it get 32? 31 right now, bid upon that 32. At 31, bid upon 32. I'm about to drop the hammer, place our last and final bids at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, my recommendation, place that power bid. That means you don't have to place 32. You can place a bid of 4 or 5 or 6. That will give you the additional leverage to place you firmly in the lead. At 31 right now, would it get 32? Bid upon 32. Look at that 32 right now for the bid. At 31 right now, would it get 32? Bid upon 32. Now or never. I'm about to drop the hammer. Now or never. 31. I'm out of time. Last and final call. I'm out of time on this one. 31. Going once. Oh my goodness, so many bids coming in right now. Make sure you place your final bids. I'm about to drop the hammer, folks. 32. Now we got 33. Bid upon 34. 33 right now, would it get 34? Bid upon 34. Look at that 34 right now for the bid at 33 right now, would it get 34? At 3,300. At 33 right now, would it get 34? Look at that 34 right now for the bid at 34 right now, would it get 35? At 34 right now for a lifetime Jean-Michel Basquiat lithograph, ladies and gentlemen. At 37 right now, would it get 38? 37 right now, bid upon that 38. Look at that 38 right now for the bid at 37 right now, would it get 38? Look at that 38 right now for the bid at 38. Look at that 38 right now for the bid at 37. 37 going once, twice. Third fair final warning, ladies and gentlemen.
Hold on. 38.
Oh my goodness, I'm just about, folks, we're having lots and lots of action here. I know everybody who's calling, I know we have probably not only art dealers, but just people who love art, but know the price points here. And I know you know this is a great price. That's why everybody's calling in. We're out of time on this one, however. At 39 right now, would it get 4? 39, bid upon 4. 39, would it get 4? 39, bid upon 4. At 39 right now, would it get 4? Look at the 4 right now, would it get 4? Look at the 4 right now for the bid at 39 right now, would it get 4? Going once, going twice. Third fair final, out of time. I'm way out of time. So, congratulations, well done indeed, ladies and gentlemen. We certainly hope you're having a good time. You are a absolutely wonderful audience. I hope you're enjoying it. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for bringing us into your home this morning. Well, we have something spectacular coming up. If you love what we've shown you so far, you're really going to love this. Heard about Michelangelo? Heard about one of the greatest Renaissance masters of all time? Boy, do we have a gem for you. And Lucy, let's bring it back to you. Back to Lucy in London, England.
I do honestly think this is the best place to acquire your works of art. Where else will you get such incredible art, such variety and wonderful prices? I don't think there's any other place in this world. And I've been in the art world for a long, long time, so trust me on that one. But yes, my goodness me, when I saw this in the lineup, I couldn't quite believe what I was reading. A Michelangelo, wow. How often do you get the chance to own a Michelangelo? Not a poster, not a reproduction, but a 16th century engraved translation of his genius. This is Michelangelo's divine vision captured line by line and intricate detail by Italy's greatest engraver. And this is as close as collectors ever come to having a Michelangelo in their home. So imagine telling your friends and family you own the only form of Michelangelo's art that was ever meant to be collected privately, because that's exactly what we're looking at right now, ladies and gentlemen. And this piece, when I tell you where it's from, will blow you away, because it is from the Sistine Chapel. That is visited by 6 to 7 million people every single year. And if we go over to my screen, let's talk a little bit more about who he was and what he did. So Michelangelo, the creation of Adam. And then here we have the Last Judgment, which is exactly what you're going to see in the engraving. It's part of this. And there is the Sistine Chapel in all its glory. Now, I went to the Sistine Chapel many, many years ago, but that is still indelibly marked in my memory. That's how awesome it is and how incredible it is. Words really can't express what you feel when you go into the Sistine Chapel and the colours you see. And we know that he was famous too for creating the statue of David. We've got Jesus and Mary at Vatican City there. These wonderful, wonderful drawings. And of course, huge prices. We're talking millions. Let's come back to our work. Let's go over to the auction and let's see exactly what's going on over there. Back to you, Leif.
Lucy, let's go ahead and take a look at that certificate of authenticity, please, ladies and gentlemen. Take a look at what you are bidding on right now, pulled from our archives. This is a masterpiece. Michelangelo Buonarroti, The Last Judgment. You are bidding on The Last Judgment by Michelangelo. This is an engraving in black ink on laid paper. It is executed by Giorgio Ghisi from the design of Michelangelo. And it's conceived, ladies and gentlemen, between 1535 to 1541 for the design of the Sistine Chapel. Do you realize what you're bidding on? You're bidding on an engraving that was part of the design for the Sistine Chapel. This is extraordinary. Look at the date of the plate. Plate executed in circa 1560. It is extremely rare. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're bidding on the impression from the plate from 1560. What was going on in America in 1560? Not too much, folks. Understand how old and how precious this is. Extraordinary. 22 right now, would he get 23? 22 right now, would he get 23? Bid upon 23. Look at that 23 right now for the bid. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an absolute masterpiece. This is not any Michelangelo. This is really a masterpiece. 22 right now, would he get 23? At 22 right now, would he get 23? Let's go ahead and bring it back to Lucy. I know she has a lot more to say about it. Lucy, back to you.
I do, and it's really hard to know where to start, to be honest with you, because this is like owning, I think, just history and hanging it on your wall. You know, you become the new guardian of it and you will preserve it for many more years to come. This is 484 years old, everybody. I mean, it's just mind-blowing. It's actually quite hard to understand exactly what you're bidding on right now. So let's just talk about it. So Michelangelo, he painted The Last Judgment in the altar wall of the Sistine Chapel between 1536 and 1541. That was 20 years after his famous ceiling. So the church invited him back again to do some more. And then Ghisi, who was alive between 1520 to 1582, created an important engraving version after Michelangelo's fresco. It was a monumental print that translated the fresco into multiple plates. And why is this engraving so noteworthy? Because Ghisi's engravings are considered to be the most authoritative in reproduction of the fresco in the mid-1540s. So, you know, this is giving us so much context, you know. The Last Judgment fresco itself was controversial because of the nudity, the dramatic style. The engraving inherits that drama and makes it really portable. And because it's been executed by Ghisi from the designer Michelangelo, that date aligns with mid-16th century printmaking, and you know, there's so much prestige and provenance here. And what we've got is us, the collectors. We want three things. We want rarity, we want prestige and provenance. And a Ghisi after Michelangelo gives you all three in one breathtaking work of art. Now, if I take you to my screen, I want to show you this, because here we have engravings by Ghisi. 35,000 there. All right, 35,000. Got another one there at 31,000. That was in, you can see, in Switzerland. So this is also by Ghisi. Let's have a look at what we're at. 2,700 currently. 35,000. 35,000. 2,900 is exactly what we're at the moment. Well done you, whoever's in the lead. Let's come back to our work and let's just talk a little bit more about this before I hand it back to Leif. Because The fresco, as we know, itself is just this incredible masterpiece. It's so significant and it's huge. It covers the entire altar wall. It was just created over a period of, I think it was 4 years actually. And it was very, very important. It was created during a time of huge tension. Europe was deep in Reformation. The church was under attack. There was a desperate need to reaffirm spiritual authority. So this is why the Last Judgment is so important. But let's talk about collectability, because Michelangelo's divine vision has been captured line by Italy's greatest engraver. And that is as close as you're ever going to get to owning a Michelangelo, everybody, right here, right now. Let's go back to the auction and back to Leif.
Thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen. We are at 3,200 right now for a work of art that is 465 years old. A 465-year-old Michelangelo Buonarroti engraving, ladies and gentlemen, from The Last Judgment. This is absolutely spectacular. Again, you go to the Vatican Museum, you go to the Vatican Archives. These are kind of things you're going to see, ladies and gentlemen. At 33 right now, what do you get? 34, bid upon 34, looking at 34. This is way, way underbid. Way below what is a fair market value. Lucy, I'm glad you showed those price comps because that really gives people an idea of what these should go for. At 35 right now, what do you get? 36, 35, bid upon 36, 35 right now, what do you get? 36, bid upon 36 right now for the bid. Got a bid of 3,500. And what do you get? 36, got 36 right now, what do you get? 37, at 3,600, at 36, bid upon 37, 36 right now, what do you get? 37. Place those power bids. That's what's going to get you in the lead, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of calls coming in right now at 3,800 and bid upon 39. At 38 right now, what do you get? 39, bid upon, I got 37 right now for the bid. At 37 right now, what do you get? 38, 37, bid upon 38, 37, and what do you get? 38. And bid upon 38, got 38 right now, what do you get? 39, 38 right now, bid upon 39, 38 right now, what do you get? 39. At 38 right now, fully certified, ladies and gentlemen, 465-year-old Michelangelo engraving. Got a bid of 4. Thank you for that bid. At 4 right now, would you get 41? At 4 right now, would you get 41? 4 right now, would you get 41? Bid upon 41. Look at a 41 right now for the bid. I got a bid of 4. At 4 right now. Let's go ahead and bring it back to Lucy. Lucy, back to you.
Let's talk about exactly what we're looking at here, because this is an engraving. So Gizzi would have been commissioned to create what we're looking at. Remember back then there was printmaking wasn't a thing, you know, and so anyone who wanted to impress people like the dignitaries of the day, like the Pope, he would commission the finest engraver in the land to come in and create exactly what we're looking at right now. So Gizzi would have been given access to the drawings of Michelangelo that were used to create the Last Judgment. And then from those he would have created engraving on a copper plate. So you've got to imagine the skill and mastery of this artist. And he was the best engraver in Italy. Today, his engravings sit in the world's most respected museums, the British Museum, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Louvre, the Royal Collection, major universities all over the world. And his prints are the closest most people will ever get to owning the Renaissance. They are historically important. They are beautifully preserved. They are culturally defining. They are rare on the open market. And these have been pulled from our own archives, you know, our own vault. They're always desirable. And owning a Gizzi engraving is like holding a piece of Renaissance in your hands. Now, let's go back to those price comparisons. They don't come up very often for auction. And when they do, people will obviously fight for them. 35,000 there. That is a work that was created in 1561. And then another one, 1561, 31,000, 30,000, sorry, 35,000. Let's come back to our piece. Sorry there. But yeah, I mean, 5,750, when you are looking at that price, 6,000 now versus the 30,000, 35,000 I've just shown you, you just have not got to think about this. You know, this is one of those moments in life when you just go for it. You know, you really do, because this is owning a piece of history. It's like hanging something incredibly historical on your wall. And it's just magic. I mean, this is one of the most famous engravers and most famous artists of all time. Let's go back to Leif and back to the auction.
Thank you very much indeed, Lucy. We got some pretty serious bidding going on right now. Only one of you is going to get it, ladies and gentlemen. Got a bid of 75. At 75 right now, Woody at 77.50. 77.50, Woody 8,000. 8,000 right now, Woody 85. 8,000 right now, Woody 8,500. 8 right now, Woody 8,500. Bid upon 85. Look at 85. Bid upon 85. I'm running out of time on this Michelangelo, ladies and gentlemen. Fully certified Michelangelo. A lot of bids here. Place your last and final bid. I'm about to drop the hammer. Ladies and gentlemen, 8,000. That is going once. 85. Place your last and final bid. 85 right now. Would he 985? Bid upon 985. Would he 9? 85 right now. 85 right now. 85 right now. Would he 9,000? Bid upon 9. Would he 9? Bid upon 9. Look at it. 9. Got 9. Thank you for the bid at 9. And bid upon 95. At 9 right now. Would he 95? 9 right now. Bid upon 95 right now. We're down 9,500. Ladies and gentlemen, last and final call at this time. This is the last and final call. Ladies and gentlemen, I got a bid of 9. At 9 right now. Would he 95? I'm about to drop the hammer, folks. Don't miss out on the opportunity of your lifetime for a 465-year-old Michelangelo Buonarroti, ladies and gentlemen, and on top of that, a very historic piece from The Last Judgment. It's an engraving. This is a museum work. This should not even be available for sale, folks. This is for the sake of posterity, for future generations. Do not miss out. This is that kind of work where I should have bid on that. I could have bid on that. I have a chance to bid on a 465-year-old Michelangelo. A 465-year-old Michelangelo, ladies and gentlemen. 95 right now, would he 10? 95 right now, bid upon 10, would he 10? Bid upon 10, look at a 10 right now for the bid at 95. At 95 right now, I got a bid at 95. Place those power bids, folks. There's too many calls right now. Only one of you is going to get it. I don't want to disappoint you, but you're way under bid. Place a power bid. That's it. That's the bottom line. At 95 right now, at 95 right now, would he 10? Bid upon 10, look at a 10 right now. I got 10. I got 10,000. At 10 right now, at 10 right now, would he 10.5? At 10 right now, would he 10.5? Bid upon 10.5, would he 10.5? Bid upon 10.5, look at a 10.5, would he 10.5? At 10 right now, at 10 right now, would he 10.5? 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 At 10,000. At 10 right now, would he 10.5? Bid upon 10.5, look at a 10.5, bid upon 10.5, look at a 10.5, look at a 10.5 right now for the bid. Ladies and gentlemen, the hammer's going to drop. This is your chance of your lifetime to own a 465-year-old, fully certified, fully authentic Michelangelo. I just get excited talking about it. I love this. This is incredible. I wish I could bid. I wish I could bid, but I can't. 10 right now, would he 10.5? I'm going to live vicariously through the winner of this bidder. And when whoever's the winner, put this proud, put this in this is going to be in the main wall in your home. You want everybody to see, you want to appreciate, you want to enjoy this every single day of your life. This is part of history. This is a very important part of human history, ladies and gentlemen. What do we got? 10.5 right now, would he 11, 10.5, bid upon 11. John, I'm about to drop the hammer here. We're out of time. At 10.5, at 10,005 right now, would he 11,000. At 10,500, would he 11, bid upon 11. Look at 11 right now for the bid. At 10,005, place your last and final bids. Last and final bids. I see a lot of people on the phone. Who's in the lead? Georgia in the lead. All right, Georgia. Ladies and gentlemen, 10.5, 10.5 right now, would he 11, 10.5 right now, would he 11, 10.5 right now, would he 11. At 10.5 right now, would he 11, bid upon 11. Look at 11, bid 11, look at 11, look at 11, look at 11 for the bid. Going once?
Michigan, gotta go.
Michigan, gotta go. Looking for 11 or a power bid? 11, right under the wire, last minute. Michigan in the lead right now with 11, 11, 11, 5. At 11 right now with 11, 5, 5, 11, 5, 11, 5, but it's 12. Georgia back in at 11, 5 right now. At 11, 5, 10, 5, 11, 5 right now with 12, 11, 5, bid upon 12, 11, 5, bid upon 12, 11, 5, bid upon 12. At 11, 5 right now with 12, bid upon that 12, look at that 12 right now, but 12, look at that 12 right now for the bid. Ladies and gentlemen, 11, 5. 11, 5 for a 465-year-old Michelangelo from The Last Supper. It doesn't get better than this, ladies and gentlemen. You go to the Louvre, you go to the Musée d'Orsay, you go to the Rijksmuseum, you go to the Prado. If you have a chance ever in your life to go to the Hermitage in St. Peter's, beautiful place. Now you can't really go there, but it's stunning. But any world-class museum, you'll find these works of art. Ladies and gentlemen, 11-5 is once, twice, third and final. Congratulations, well done indeed. Let's move on. That is phenomenal. Congratulations. Where was the top bidder from? Michigan? Georgia. All right. Congratulations. Well done indeed. Let's bring up the next one, please. We, ladies and gentlemen, Right now, we're going to take a sidestep. We're going to move back into the 21st century with pretty much one of the leaders of the urban art movement together with Banksy. This is Kef. Take a look.
Every line, every curve, every color, every breath held and every breath released. Art is created. Every moment spent in Berlin, creating this style. Every moment spent in Shanghai, mastering this style. Every moment of doubt, every moment of joy. Hours painting, years of creating. Harmony, peace, tranquility. With every collaboration, with every exhibition, his name grows.
Sold! California!
Sold it under my
Sold
sold at $41,000.
Sold at 63.
With every hammer drop and every piece sold, now is the time for Kef.
Welcome back, everyone, and congratulations there to our successful bidder there on that wonderful work by Michelangelo. You did so well, so congratulations. But completely changing gears now, bringing you right into the 21st century to Kef, the rock star of the art world right now, the modern, contemporary, urban art movement. And wow, what a work we have for you. It's an original mixed media with diamond dust under resin, so you're going to have that real luxury feel to it. This is something new that he started to do. Look at that visual impact. Where is it going to go in your home? Where? Go and have a think right now. Go and have a measure up, because Kef is really one of those huge stars that everybody is wanting a piece of. And the reason for it is because he's doing it so differently to anyone else. These are such unique pieces in every sense of the word. So not only is this a unique work, it's an original piece, but just look at the style. Look at those flowing lines. Look at the gloriousness of it, the genius of it, because this is an artist who really just channels himself and his talent. He goes into this almost meditation, and he starts allowing those flowing lines to come from within. Oh, wow, look at the sparkling, the diamond dust there. I'd love this one. Imagine this. This is an artist who doesn't do any preparatory work, doesn't use any form of technology or projector to help him. He just starts creating. So he visually will rehearse it in his mind and then take his marker or take his paintbrush or take his aerosol can and start creating. And I just don't know how he does it. He keeps those flowing lines going. They're mesmerizing. They are just life-affirming. And in so many respects as well, almost therapeutic. Because when you look at a Kef, and I know people do this, they come home from a busy day and they'll just sit in front of their beautiful paintings and just allow themselves to unwind, because his works just tend to calm you down. But I'm going to tell you something right now, everyone, just before we go to auction. This is what you're going to find. Let's go to my screen. Sold out everywhere. Okay? This is what happens with Kefs. Just bear that in mind. And let's get on those phones, everyone, and don't miss out on your opportunity to own one. Let's go to auction. Over to Leif.
All right, let's take a look at that certificate of authenticity, ladies and gentlemen, for the international superstar, one of the fastest rising artists on the planet today. It is Kef, Secret of the Silent Earth, #6, original mixed media work with diamond dust under resin on canvas. Hand signed by the artist on the verso, executed by Kef in 2025. Brand new this year, straight from his studios in Berlin, Germany, to our, ladies and gentlemen, studio here in Atlanta, Georgia. So executed by Kef in 2025. This is your chance. This is your chance to be able to bid. Let's go ahead and focus on the artwork, please. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to do, you will notice that the top of it, you see that shine? That shine, that's not glass, that is resin, epoxy resin. And what the artist does is that the front of it is completely covered. If I put the palm of my hand, and it's just very, very smooth. It's completely protected, and it's UV sealant as well. But keep in mind, this is canvas. This is done on canvas, ladies and gentlemen. So you get that beautiful resin, you get that diamond dust, and it is a spectacular work of art. Now keep in mind, this artist right here, ladies and gentlemen, when we're talking about PayPal, when we're talking about Urban Outfitters, we're talking about pretty much major corporations have commissioned him for untold sums of money, official artist of the World Cup, ladies and gentlemen, of soccer. There's that signature right there. Ladies and gentlemen, by Kef. It is on canvas, as you can see it. Just the frame alone is probably around $1,200. So you're just bidding on the frame at this time, but you are getting in the frame. Ladies and gentlemen, and here's the other thing, before I pass it back to Lucy. When you go to a museum, what is it that most of the artists, I'm talking about a big name museum, like the Chicago Institute, like the Metropolitan Museum of Art, like the Louvre Museum, like the British Museum. What is it that the artists have in common? Most of them have passed away. That's typically when you'll find the works of art in a museum. But let me ask you this. What if the artist is alive, not only alive, but a young man like him, but is already in a museum, but in fact in a permanent collection. He's in the permanent collection of a museum, and he's still a young man. What do you think that tells you about him? Why do museums put artwork there? Because for future generations. Art is put in museums. The kind of art you will see in world-class museums is art that has changed and had an impact on humanity. He's alive, and his art is already in museums. Let's bring it back to Lucy. I got 1,500 right now. Lucy, back to you.
Yeah, this is a stunning work, isn't it? It is really incredible. And he is such a talent. And that is recognised by, as you just mentioned, that museum show. The Financial Times, they've cited him as the most promising of this new wave of artists in the 21st century. Interior design journals, such as Architectural Design and Wallpaper, have spotlighted Kef. Because of his works, they are ideal for architectural spaces. It's what we, the modern collector, wants in our home. You know, buying art because we love it is the key. But it is really nice, isn't it, to know that what you love sits in a strong, culturally relevant area of the market and has been executed by one of those top players in that market sector. And all of these art dealers who are representing Kef, they know this, and that's why they sit on what they've got by Kef, and that's why you don't see many out there in the open market because of that fact. They know that this is an artist who's gone stratospheric. Bear in mind that Picasso, it took him about 5 years to sell a piece of art. With Kef, it happened much more quickly than that. And before he knew it, he was being represented on the front cover of investing magazines. You know, he was being given huge, great commissions by Urban Outfitters. Let's go to my screen and let's just show you a few of these. Let's show you some prices as well, and that will make you feel really good about the 1,500 that you're bidding on at the moment. We've got an original here at 95,000, another original at 56,000. Nowhere near, I don't think, as nice as the one that we've got for you this evening. This is a new piece with that resin finish. I've got a resin finish piece at home and I absolutely love it. It just gives it that extra layer of luxury. Let's go back to my screen. 88,000 for an original there. 88,000. That's what he's able to command. 88,000. A Louis Vuitton bag that he has been commissioned to paint, 42,000, because it's a Kef. And it started here for him. It started in Berlin at the Light Festival. He came to London. He refined his style. He was the only artist that the press were interested in at a group exhibition because he's different. He truly is amazing. Let's go back over to the auction because things are hotting up. Over to you, Leif.
Stunning work of art, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of calls coming in. This is the big finale. This is the last work of this morning's show. Do not miss out. International superstar. His works are being exhibited with Banksy, ladies and gentlemen, among others, at the Burner exhibition right now. You know Banksy? They're exhibiting together with this guy. I mean, this is an incredible opportunity. And on top of that, this is a very unusual Kef, ladies and gentlemen, compared to others. And don't forget, I mean, with that single hand, he has these sinuous, beautiful lines. This is beyond what I would like to call innovation. There are really two kinds of artists, innovators and imitators. He is an innovator, ladies and gentlemen. Don't miss out. We're just at the price of the frame. You're getting an original work of art by a leading street artist on the planet. Original, one of a kind. 15 right now, would it be 16, 15, bit upon 16, 15, bit upon 16. At 17 right now, would it be 18, 17 right now, would it be 18. I've got about 4.5 minutes left of the show, and then it's selling, folks. So take it. We are so underbid right now. This is your opportunity. That's why we save this for last. At 17 right now, would it be 18. At 17 right now, bid upon 18. At 17. At 17. At 17 right now, would it be 18. Bid upon 18. Look at 18 right now for the bid. A lot of calls coming in. Place your bids. I know some of you are registering. We have many calls coming in. Place your bids, folks. We're going to run out of the show in 4 minutes. At 17 right now, would it be 18. At 17, bid upon 18. At 17 right now. At 17 right now, would it be 18. Place your bids. 18. Thank you for the bid. At 18 right now. At 18 right now, would it be 19. 18, bid upon 19. 18, bid upon 19. At 18 right now, would it be 19. At 18 right now, would it be 19, bid upon 19. Look at a 19 right now for the bid. 1800. 1800. Only one of you is going to get it, ladies. You're jumping at 18. At 18 right now, would it be 19. 18, bid upon 19. 18, bid upon 19. At 1800 for a KEF. His originals are selling as much as $95,000. Lucy just showed you on that catalog. Ladies and gentlemen, this is so underbid. My goodness, what an opportunity. That's 1,800 only for this? My goodness, 18. 19 right now would it be 2. At 19 right now would it be 2. 18 would it be 19. 18 bid upon 19. 18 bid upon 19. At 18 right now. At 19 right now. Lucy, give you for 1 minute. Let's go ahead and bring it back to Lucy.
Yeah, just really quickly, I just want to show you from inspiration, I think, to get you on those phones and make sure you don't miss out on your opportunity, because you will regret it in a year or so, or maybe even less than that. Let's go to my screen. Let's have a look at some of the collaborations and commissions that he's done. Porsche, they don't pick KEF, they pick KEF because he is where it's at right now. They could choose any artist they wanted, they pick KEF. We've got BMW as well, aligning themselves with KEF. All of these brands aligning themselves with KEF. There's a reason for that, everybody. Some of these incredible commissions that he's been asked to do now around the world. Collaborations with some of the highest end luxury brands and wineries. You've got Louis Vuitton. You've got him at various charity events. Here he is with Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin. This is high profile, and it does just one thing. It elevates him even higher. So don't miss out on this opportunity to own a KEF. Let's come back to our work. One of the rock stars of the 21st century art world. And to me, this is one of his finest works. I love the resin finish. I love the intricate detail, those beautiful flowing lines. It's visually stunning. It's very impactful. You can imagine this taking center stage, can't you, in your home? Oh, one last thing I didn't show you. Let's go back to my screen. This was his representation at the World Cup in Qatar. He was one of the official artists of the World Cup. And again, it just did one thing. It elevated him. Let's come back to our work. Let's go back to Leif and let's see where this one ends up in America. Back to you, Leif.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have 1.5 minutes left on the show. We have so many bids right now. One of you will be the lucky bidder. We are extremely underbid, ladies and gentlemen. But my recommendation is place those power bids. I'm at 21 right now. Would it be 22? At 21 right now. Would it be 22? Bid upon 22. Look at that 22 right now for the bid. Ladies and gentlemen, again, he is alive. He's a young man. He's already in a permanent museum collection. Just that alone, besides everything else we've told you about this guy, that he had that huge show where he had Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin. I'm glad you showed that one, Lucy. But this is a superstar. And now is your chance, ladies and gentlemen. 23 right now. Would it be 24? At 23 right now. Would it be 24? Bid upon 24. Got 24 right now for the bid at 25. And ladies and gentlemen, we're about to say goodbye. We have 1 minute left. We are going to, I'm going to ask my producer, John, we're going to bid this off air, correct?
Yeah, we're going to have to finish this off air. Too many calls. Let's go back to Lucy.
All right.
Say good night.
We have too many calls. We're going to finish this off air. So keep on bidding. Lucy, we're going to bring it to you to say good night. Back to Lucy in London.
Thank you very much. I'm so excited for all of you to get your hands on this incredible work by KEF. It has been my pleasure this morning to help you acquire some of those artworks of your dreams, but it is goodbye from me until next time, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And it's back to you, Leif, and good luck everyone on this KEF.
Thank you so much, Lucy. Oh, we love Lucy. We love Lucy. Lucy's fantastic. I love the accent too. By the way, I also have an accent, but it's from Sweden. Her accent's so much better. Folks, you've been amazing. We're going to bid up fair. We're at 25 right now. You'll see us next Saturday. You guys have been great. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much. We'll see you then. 25 right now. Got it.